Yeah, that's the I think I will have to get my own Zoom account. Okay, Hare Krishna. Sorry, back to where we are. So we just studied about Dhyan Yogi. Then now we are going to see for the pure devotee. Are you all there? Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. Anya chetasa satatam yomam asmrati nityashaha tasyaham sulabha partha nityajuktasya yoginaha. I highlighted that word sulabha. Krishna is saying, without deviation of mind, the devotee who always remember me exclusively, for him, I'm very easy to partha because of his constant engagement in devotional service. So that's all we want to hear. Krishna is saying that a devotee is always remembering him and he's engaged in devotional service. So for him, it's very, very easy for him to attain him. And there is no birth for pure devotee. Mamupetaya punarjanma dukhalayam asaswatam na na punavanti mahatmanaha samsedhim paramam gataha. After attaining me, they never take birth again. That's very good. In this temporary world, which is full of miseries, such great soul never return to this world, having attained the highest goal of personal service to me. So, beautiful point here, having attained the highest goal of personal service to me, and that's the part we are missing when we are talking about Gyan Yoga or Dhyan Yoga. In those stages, people will go to the secluded place and they will meditate, and they are trying to develop their emotion, advanced emotion for Supreme Personality of Godhead, but there is no personal service. But here, Bhakti Yoga, in Bhakti Yoga process, one is basically engaged personally in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then comes this beautiful, powerful, famous verse. Rebirth is in all planets except Krishna's abode. Abrahma bhuvana loka punar avartino arjuna mamupetayat tu kantaya punarjanma vidyate. Everyone in all planets up to Brahma Loka take repeated birth and death. Bracket, even if they are pious. Pious people will go to the heavenly planet. They will have to come back. But one who attains my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So here is word given by Krishna that one who comes to his abode, he or she does not have to take birth again. So the rebirth of everyone is stated in the first two lines of the verse 16, where he's saying that Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna. That's expanded in verse 17 and 18. And then the qualities of Lord Abode are elaborated in verse 20 and 22. So Krishna is basically saying here in these three verses that bhakti is the sulabh process. And if one remembers Krishna as a bhakta, then once he is basically in the spiritual abode of Supreme Personality of Godhead, for that person there is no birth. So now we'll see some difference between material world and spiritual world. And this is another beautiful verse number 17, that tells, Krishna is personally telling how long is the age of Lord Brahma. And you can see that Sahasra Juga Prayantam Aharyad Brahmano Vidu Ratrim Juga Saharsanatam Teyaho Ratra Vido Janaha. By human calculation, 1,000 stages taken together form the duration of Brahma one day, and such also is the duration of his night. So Brahma's one day is 1,000 yuga cycles, and I have a separate slide. Okay, so if I get time, I'll get to that slide. So one day of Brahma is 1,000 divya yuga. One day of Brahma is 1,000 divya yuga. So we'll see that how that duration is in terms of the solar year, in terms of our time. And Brahma lives that type of life for 100 years. So Brahma's life is 100 years, and his one day is 1,000 divya yuga. So we'll talk about that later. Manifested and unmanifested state of the material world. He is saying that this material world sometimes manifests and sometimes it unmanifests. So that part is also, I'm going to answer there. And we saw in a previous, class that the Karnodakshai Vishnu is basically the super soul of the material world. And when he breathes out, when he's breathing out from the pore of his body, all the material universe comes. It's coming out. And then when he's breathing in, all the universes are annihilating and it's going back. All the living being also going back to his body. So basically it's manifest and it basically unmanifests. So this manifestation and unmanifestation has a duration of the breathing time of Karno Dakshai Vishnu. so that time our breathing is like this. But how long is that breathing? We'll see also that in later slide. But please remember from here that Lord Brahma has 100 years of his lifespan, and in each one day there are thousands Divya Yuga, and one Divya Yuga is basically, all the four yugas together. So you will see in terms of time that how long Lord Brahma, lives. Then eternal spiritual world, Lord, is saying that his word. So there are a spiritual abode, and there are material, heavenly and hellish planets. So all of that planets who are in the realm of the material world, they manifest and they unmanifest. But his abode, where Lord is, or the spiritual abode, are going, are eternal. Those are not impacted by this breathing in and breathing out phenomena of Karnodakshai Vishnu. So the verse number 22 is giving us the essence of the bhakti process. And he mentioned there that the Krishna abode is attained by Ananya Bhakta, a devotee who is perfectly and fully situated in pure devotion. So if you remember, we talked about it, Guna Bhakti, then Pradhan Bhuta Bhakti, and then Kevala Bhakti. So one who abodes Krishna's, one who attains Krishna's abode are the person who are doing the bhakti in akincha, in pure stage of bhakti. There is no mixture in that devotion. And when they leave this abode, this material world, they go back to home, back to Krishna. And who are those type of devotee who are doing kevala bhakti, ananya bhakti? Who are those devotees? Devotees who are engaged in dasya rasa, shakhya rasa, vatsalya rasa, and madhurya rasa. Okay, the devotee who are engaged in serving Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, in those four rasas, they are the one who are going back to him after leaving this body. So this one I'll come back later. Let me finish this chapter first. So this chapter continues. So the verse number 23 is now Krishna is talking about different times of leaving the body. Depending on what time one leaves body, one will get the corresponding destination. Okay, and there are two methods mentioned here in verse number 24 to 26, two ways of living the body. And the first method that's given is path of light. Path of light. And path of light is basically living the body in daytime, and also in the Shukla Paksha. So there is Krishna Paksha and there is Shukla Paksha. So each month has two Paksha, Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha. So if one is living the body in daytime on Shukla Paksha, in Uttarayan, so there are two ayans. Every year has two ayan, where sun is going from north to south and south to north. So Uttarayan is when sun is coming towards north. So this is called path of light. If one is leaving the body in the daytime, in the Shukla Paksha, in the Uttarayan, then that person, after leaving this body, will go to Brahman, feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They will go and merge into Brahman. And Gyanis and Yogis, their destinations are basically in the Brahman realization. But there is another path that is called path of the darkness. And that path is basically once one is leaving the body in night, in Krishna Paksha in Dakshayanan, not Uttarayanan, now it's Dakshayanan. Then in that stage, that person is basically going to go to the heavenly planet. And most of the karmis who are engaged in the fruitive activity, Sakam Karma Bhakti. When we are talking about karmis here, that's basically referring to Sakam Karma Bhakta. So if they leave the body in that condition, then they will go to the heavenly planet. And if they go to the heavenly planet, they are not going to stay there eternally, but once their credit is consumed, then they will come back to earthly planet, and then they will again start devotional service. So 27th verse is going to talk about path for devotees. So what is the path for devotees? So we talked about Yog Mishra Bhakti and what one has to do to basically be liberated and all the complexity. Then after that we talked about for pure devotee, how the pure devotion is Sulabha, and how one can basically, by performing the pure bhakti, eternally can go and reside in the Golok planet with Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then also there are two paths of living the body, path of the light and path of darkness. After all of that, Krishna is summarizing in verse number 27 that a pure devotee or a devotee is knower of all of this information. All of that we talk, is not like that we do not know. That is why we are trying to be a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's not the point. Krishna is saying here that although the devotee know these two paths, they are never bewildered. Therefore, be always fixed in devotion, O Arjuna. Tasmat sarvesu kaleshu yoga yukta bhava Arjuna. Tasmat sarvesu kaleshu. That is why sarvesu kalesu, whatever time, whatever situation you have, yoga yukta, bhava Arjuna. O Arjuna, become yoga yukta, perform pure devotion. So that's how basically this chapter is ending up, where Krishna is saying that devotee is knower of all of this, but even by knowing all of this, he's not bewildered, and he is fully focused on devotional service. And then the verse number 28, what is the supreme? So out of all the process of bhakti that we talked, and out of all ways of going to Supreme Lord we discussed, Krishna is saying that the bhakti or bhakti yoga, one who is performing the bhakti yoga, is situated in the supreme most position. So by studying the Veda, and performing the sacrifices, undergoing austerities, and giving charity, whatever pious result one may be obtaining, one can surpass all of them by knowing me, and by my glories, performing the devotional service. Such a devotee will come to my abode. So Krishna is saying here that the opportunity that one gets to do bhakti of Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is also mercy of the Lord. One can surpass all of them by knowing me and by my glories, performing the devotional service. Such a devotee will ultimately come and attain my abode. So bhakta, or the process of bhakti, is basically, finally, in this chapter, is proven to be the sublime and supermost position for soul to follow. So that was the basically essence of this chapter, how one can attain the Supreme Lord at the departure of their body. But here is another thing that I want to quickly summarize. I'm running late, that's why I'm talking a little quick. So this is basically, we read that Brahma has 100 years, 100 years of his lifespan. So 100 years, we also have 100 years. On an average, human being has also got 100 years of the lifespan. Our lifespan is also 100 years. So what is the difference between our 100 years of lifespan and lifespan of Lord Brahma? The difference is that his time frame is different than our time frame. So there are basically two things at this point that we have to understand, that Sarga and Visarga. So Sarga is basically primary creation. And Lord, as Karnodakshai Vishnu, he creates all the prime elements, all the elements that we see in the material world, that is primarily created by Karnodakshai Vishnu. And that creation is called Sarga. And from there, Garbhodakshai Vishnu comes, and from the navel of the Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Lord Brahma comes. Then Lord Brahma is now empowered to create the other living being and other components of the material world. So that creation is called Visarga. So there is Vikalpa, and Vikalpa is referring to the creation of the universe. And then within that universe, there is Brahma, and then Brahma creation is called Visarga. So let's try to understand how that is basically working. So Brahma has 100 years, and one of his day, which is called Kalpa. So one of the day of the Brahma is called one Kalpa, and one Kalpa is 1,000 Divya Yuga, and one Divya Yuga has basically 4 yuga. So if you see that in terms of time, 4 yuga is basically 4.32 into 10 to the power 6 solar years, and that multiplied by 1,000, that is 1 day of Lord Brahma. It's such a long time. So 4.32 multiplied by 10 to the power 9 solar year is the 1 day of Lord Brahma. It's such a long time. And likewise is his day. So Brahma's 1 day and 1 night is basically equivalent to 4.3 to 10 to the power 9 solar years. And in 1 day of Brahma's, there are 14 manus. So if you really see how many Divya Yuga one Manu has, so one Manu has lifespan of almost 72 Divya Yuga. So that's another thing, that comes, that how long one Manu is going to last. So one Manu is going to last for 72 Divya Yuga. And in one day of Brahma, there are 14 Manu. And each Manu, so the Manus are basically the personality who are governing and who are managing. They are empowered by Supreme Personality of Godhead to manage the material affairs. So in the time frame of each Manu, there are 6 personalities who are basically supporting the Manu to conduct the affairs of the material world. And who are they? Manu himself, and then the Devas, and sons of the Manu. And Surendra is basically, Indra. So in each Manu time, there will be another Indra. So that Surendra, and then Rishis, some of the innocently personality, are empowered to help Manu. And then Lord Satyavasesa Avatar, which is also called Man Mantra Avatar. So Lord's incarnation in Satyavasesa form, in every time frame of the Manu, in every lifespan of Manu, one of the incarnations of Lord comes. And all of these 6 personalities together basically help conduct the affair of the material world. And these informations are very clearly mentioned in Canto 8. Once we go in Canto 8, then you will see that in each Manu, who are these 6 personalities and what did they do? What was the incarnation of the Lord that took place in that particular Manu time frame? So all of that is extensively discussed in Canto 8. So if we basically get to our Bhagavatam courses, if at some point, if we come to that extent, then we'll talk about it. Otherwise, every evening we have Bhagavatam discussions, and I'm sure that at some point we'll go to Canto 8, and there we'll talk about it. So that's how basically the material world is being manifested and sustained and supported by Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna didn't talk much about that, but he gave a glimpse, in verse number 17, by saying that there are, some part of the world that is manifesting, and some part of the world that is unmanifesting. So this manifesting and unmanifesting is going on, and how that is going on, that is basically nirodha, that is basically annihilation. And there are 4 types of annihilation. One annihilation that happens due to time. All of us are annihilating because of the time. We are getting old. Each and every moment we are annihilating. We are getting old, and the parts of our body is becoming old and old. So time itself is a factor for annihilation. That's one annihilation. The second annihilation is that the Manu, whenever Manu changes from Manu 1 to Manu 2 to Manu 3, at that time there is some annihilation. So these 2 annihilation that happens with time and with the change of the Manu, those are partial annihilation. Those are not full annihilation. But then there is third annihilation that happens, which is at the end of the Brahma's day. So when Brahma's day will be over, then there will be annihilation. And in the night, there is no activity. So each day of Brahma, there is annihilation. See how many, basically manifestation and unmanifestation is going on. And then the 4th annihilation and the final annihilation happens when Karnodakshai Vishnu is going to breathe everything in. And at that time, that's the pralaya, that's the Mahapralaya. At that time, every creation which is in the material world is going to be sucked into the body of Karnodakshai Vishnu. And whatever advancement they have made in the path of bhakti or in understanding of Krishna consciousness, in the same status, they will go back to the body of Karnodakshai Vishnu. They will stay there. And when Karnodakshai Vishnu will breathe out with the same consciousness, they will come back, and then the whole material world will manifest. So that's what basically, we have to also understand some of the material aspect to understand how important and how critical it is to attain Krishna. Why I was trying to emphasize these elements of the discussions, this type of discussion, because that will somehow or other give us the understanding that how complex this material creation is, and how fragile we are, how we are annihilating, and how ultimately we should try to come out of the periphery of the material world and attain the supermost abode, shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by taking the pure devotional service. Okay, so that's the basically essence of this chapter. Sorry, I was kind of disconnected, and that kind of little bit switched my thinking pattern off, and I had to go a little quick to capture this chapter. But with that, I think we are good with this chapter. Anything else anybody has? Hare Krishna.
No, I think that was wonderful, Prabhu.
Thank you. I thought that I again got disconnected. Sorry, I had to rush a little bit the last few slides. Sorry for that. But I think, the reason I also did that, because those things are very generic. And I'm sure all of you know that devotional service is the supermost process. So I don't want to dwell too much on that part. Rather, I spend time where I think I should have spent, to give you some more understanding about the material world and the affairs of the material world. So if there is nothing else, then can we adjourn here? Oh, I have one announcement to make. So, Mataji, what's your new name?
Shri Radhe Devi Dasi.
Shri Radhe Devi Dasi Mataji ki jai.
Haribol.
Shri Radhe, yeah. So Mata Shri Radhe Devi Dasi, right, Mataji?
Correct, Prabhu.
This is such a nice name.
Yeah.
Shri Radhe Devi Dasi. So Mataji, can you a little bit explain when, or share with us what time you got initiated, how the process took place? Because your devotee would like to know.
Sure, Prabhu. My Param Pujya Guru Maharaj, Shri Radha Govind Maharaj, did the initiation over Zoom on their day of Purnima, Vraja Purnima. He lives in Vrindavan, so it was a Zoom call, and he did initiation of name giving, and he showed the beads on this Zoom call and vows. But also in the New Goloka temple here in North Carolina, that Sunday was a Purnima here. His Holiness Bir Krishna Maharaj was also conducting yagna and giving initiations. So at that time, I was able to participate in that and also took vows from him. So it was kind
So
of.
it happened on internet, through Zoom.
Yeah, with my Guru Maharaj, yes, on the Zoom, and here in the temple, I was present personally, Prabhu.
Oh, nice.
So how many devotees got initiated?
So that day with Guru Maharaj, 2 devotees, one myself and the other one, Mataji, was from New Delhi.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sri Radhe Devi Dasi Mataji, right? Thank you so much. So Sri Radhe Devi Dasi. Okay, so Sri is there. I was trying to connect what is connecting with your previous name. Okay,
Sri
so
Valli and now Sri Radhe Devi.
Sri Radhe Devi Dasi. Okay, now so Sri is part of your name. Sri Radhe Devi Dasi Mataji ki jai.
Hari Bol, Prabhu.
Congratulations, Mataji, and we wish you, good spiritual journey. You are a serious soul.
My
So I'm
spiritual
sure
journey started with Ramacharya Prabhuji's Bhakti Vriksha, so I'm always indebted to his nurturing our bhakti for our whole family. I cannot.
Hope I can nurture my bhakti. I'm still struggling with my bhakti, with all the health stuff going on around. But it's so beautiful to hear that now you're officially, initiated into the process.
In Prabhupada's family officially.
Yes. That's very powerful. Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you. It's inspiring. I know. I mean, I wanted to talk that in the beginning, but I didn't see. So I thought that, okay, at the last of this, at the end of this class, we can a little bit hear about how it happened. But very beautiful. Nice. Thank you, everybody. So we are going to adjourn here. Let's have the Vaishnava Pranams together. Vanchkalpa tarubhyasya kripa sindhuvya evasya patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Nisambal Bhakti Vrind ki
Yeah.
jai. Hare Krishna. So if you haven't sent your homework yet, please send it by maybe Monday or Tuesday, and then you all can start working on chapter 8. It was a short chapter, only 28 verses, and easy chapter also. I'm sure most of you are heard about this thing. There was nothing new, so I was kind of a little fast. But
Haribol.
please continue working on your homework. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam. See you all
Thank you,
next
Prabhu.
week.
Haribol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. See you next week. Hari Hari.
Hari Hari.
Haribol Prabhuji. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna Mataji. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.